Hi everyone, it's Kay from the Paper Shed. Hope you're all doing well today. Thanks for popping on and joining me again today. I'm back with another hashtag ABC April 2025, hosted by the lovely Toni from Crafty by Toni and Margerth from Seven Plaza. Absolutely turning into a mega event. It's been fabulous. Some of the makes and the stuff that's been covered for newbies is absolutely amazing. There's so many brilliant creators out there that are joining in and doing these alphabets. We're on the letter G today, and I'm going to cover gussets. So I've got my scoreboard, I've got a few bits and pieces, and we're just going to get on with it. So let's talk gussets. I do find them necessary sometimes. They're not all of the time. They're great for pockets, great for envelopes, great for lots and lots of different things. You can even do several envelopes and make like a concertina file, which is also great. You can make them with the envelope flaps, like I made them on this particular thing here. And it does give you a nice big pocket for storage. Now, with junk journaling, obviously, you have to be careful how much of this sort of expansion that you're doing, because obviously your book it's got to be able to close. So to do more than your normal sort of gusset, which is an M or a W, depending on which way you've got it up and which way you attach it to your piece, there is really no point in doing sort of, masses amounts for them to expand too far, unless that's the look that you're going for. I mean, you can make this as long as you want to, the concertina type gusset, but you just have to be mindful that when you're putting it in your junk journal, that it can only withstand so much. So I don't think I've ever used anything other than this mechanism here, which is again like your W or your M, depending on which way you attach it in. You can also do a gusset with just like, I don't know whether they actually call this a gusset, do they? But I do. It's exactly the same whether you put it on, if this is your pocket, for instance, and you put it there to attach it into your work so that you've got the complete width of the pocket. And I always find this useful because I just don't like putting pockets down and gluing, the sides. It doesn't bother me about the bottom, purely because, if you're going to put anything in, it will more or less go in without it needing to be expanded at the bottom. But if you're doing something specific, then by all means do that, do the three sides. But I quite like these purely because they give you the full width of the pocket. Now, a lot of the time we do this by attaching it to or keeping it on our work. So that would normally be attached to your sheet that you're making your pocket out of. But you can, change your mind. If you've got a piece of paper or your card that you want to make a pocket out of and it's not wide enough for your expansion, then you can just create these little ones and create that. So that's what we're going to do today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of, I'm going to do a pocket and then I'm going to do an envelope. It's done exactly the same way. It doesn't matter what sort of piece that you're doing. And all we're going to do is we're just going to score some pieces. Now, I always use scraps for this. I never really use, you don't really see it. And all you really need to do is to make, obviously, a one piece like this. So you're just making a hinge, which is still in my book classed as a gusset. Then you only need one score line. So you only need to use, let's use the proper size, okay? And then, so you only need to use about an inch. I mean, this one's more than an inch, but we can cut it down. And then I'm going to just fold that and then cut along that line there to give me my inch. I mean, it hasn't got to be perfect because it is just your hinge or your gusset. And you can create it that way. So you've got your pocket there. I'm actually going to have a double pocket here because I want to join them together. And all I would do is obviously your scored line goes on the outside, and you're just going to come shy of the bottom, go to the top. I'm going to cut it off there, and I'm going to glue that down. I'm just going to use my quicker drying glue just for video purposes, but by all means use Collab not Fabri-Tac 3-in-1 if you want a bit of wiggle room. I mean, you do get a little bit with this. Okay, I'm going to do the same to the other side. I'm just going to snip that off just a little bit. Your score line goes to the outside, just above your score line at the bottom of your pocket, and we're just going to press that down. Then all we're going to do is do this. So normally you would have left this on your pocket, but like I said, I do it loads when I think, oh, I could have done with some hinges to make my pocket. And I'm just going to close that up. And there you have your nice large pocket. And as I say, you can do this by keeping it on your pocket when you cut it out. If you don't have enough, which I do that a lot, I come to do it and then I haven't got enough on my sides to create my hinges. So this is the other way to do it. I'm going to put hinges on this one. So what I'm going to do with this one is, let's make it so that we're not faking it, so to speak. So you need 3 score lines for an expandable. And to be honest, they shouldn't really ever need to be any bigger than this. But I mean, you know, if you're making a box and you're putting file folders in there, then, you know, by all means make them longer if you want to. So it's a 2-inch piece and you're just putting 3 score lines in. Okay, then I need to do that again because I need 2. So 1, 2, 3. Score that down, or fold it up, I should say. And then I'm just going to cut that off there. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, just going on the inside of your envelope. And we're just going to do the same again. I'm just going to measure it briefly, just up from the bottom of your envelope. That's one side. And then just up from the bottom, well, you can just do it on this to do your second one, so that they're both the same size. Okay, score lines to the outside. And then I'm just going to glue that one inside there. And just get that more or less in the middle. And press that in. Okay, same again with this one, score lines to the outside. That's not the right one. Score lines to the outside. And then stick that onto the end of there. Okay. And then we're going to close those down and just glue the tops of those. You can do one at a time. Okay. And then there we have our, need to wait for it to dry. So nice size there. just need to make those. So you can see the size of your envelope. Great for ephemera, great for other things in your journal. You know, lots of ways to use them. And it just gives you a nice size depth. I hate things that, you know, when you glue them to the page so that they're flat like that, unless you actually pinch it in on either side to create a small opening, sometimes it can be so difficult to get things in and out. And I just think that this way is a great way to expand that. And plus it gives you the full width of whatever it is you're making, which I love. So that's the expandable side and the, you know, the hinge side of a gusset. I quite like. So all I've done is my other pieces. Obviously you can ink those sides if you want to. Just happen to use white. I've also done a couple of pockets because what I want to do is show you how to make a third pocket without having to make a third pocket, if that makes sense. So I'll show you that next. I've got my two 2-inch pieces, which is going to make my M or my W gusset. And then all I'm going to do is glue it to the one side of the already open pocket. So we're going to glue that one on this side. Okay. We're going to glue this one on this side. Okay. So you've now got that. And then what we're going to do is with this second pocket that you've already made up, we're going to glue that to this gusset area here. Now these are great for folios. What you also want to do though is you want to glue those in and the bottom. Okay, glue that in and glue that in so that you can pinch the sides. And then make sure your openings are at the top. Make sure that you've got that on there and that on there, and then you're going to pinch that bottom in all the way down. Okay, bring that in to there. Just takes a little bit of manipulation. There we go. I'll wait for that one to dry. And then there you've got 3. So this is how you would make a, you know, a pocket for your file folders if you was making a box for ephemera. You can do it like this so that each section has different parts of ephemera in, but you've got 3 pockets for each one, which I find useful. So that's another way. The other way that you can do it is by adding it to your piece of work. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do what we would do is if you had or making a pocket. So you want a 1/4 inch down that end, not a quarter, half inch down either side. And then obviously you folded it for your pocket and you just need to cut one of these off. So you just mite the one end and cut that off along the score line. Okay. And then you miter this side and cut this one off on the score line. And this is the easiest way to do it. It's just that there has been times where I've come to use a piece of scrap paper and it's not quite big enough. But you can see that your pocket's a lot smaller than what you would get if you was getting that, you know, if you was putting hinges on it, because you've got to allow that extra inch for your papers. Now it's all right if you're using it from a full piece like this, because that's a full 8 1/4 inch piece. And obviously you want it directional for your pocket or your envelope. So you would do the same. You would just do quarter of an inch down each side, and that would give you a full page width pocket. But if you are using scraps or pieces that are in your, you know, your remnants box or whatever, that's the other way that you can do it to enable you to use the, you know, to get the full width of your paper that you want to use. So that's that. And then all you do with this one, which is the one that we've just cut, is you just glue it up the same way. So you would do that. Now you can also do your gussets in exactly the same way. And that's okay if your papers are long enough. And that gives you your gusseted pocket and the full width of whatever size your paper is. If you was to do a gusset, you can also do that out of one of these, out of a full sheet. It's not really possible to do it out of a one this size unless you're creating something quite small. So like for this one, which is directional, you couldn't really afford to have 2 inches this side and 2 inches this side, because you're going to end up with a pocket like that, you know, that's that small. So these hinges here, these gussets here, are way better to use that way separately. But it is possible to do it this way, because you've got a full width paper. You can do your concertina, so your 3 lines down that way, turn it round and do your 3 lines this way. Now I'm using paper here, and I wouldn't suggest that you do that for this. And then you would just concertina it like you would if it was separate. You've already got one end on, so you're only really going to be gluing one end. But that would give you the right size, but obviously this one's too big, but the right size pocket. I mean, it would do a page pocket probably. You'd also have to cut that off. So if you was to halve this, let's just halve it. Now you could glue them together there, and that would give you a much wider pocket. So this is a great way if you're doing, for instance, a file folder box for ephemera or whatever else, you know, storage, because you get nice wide pockets with this one because you've got both sides. If you don't want both sides though, you just do it exactly the same as the other one. You miter that end and then cut down your score line, your last score line, like so. Same here, miter that end and then cut down your score line here. I didn't miter that the right way, but never mind. And then you would fold that up and you'd have a gusseted pocket which you could put onto your page that way, because that would actually fit. So there's lots and lots of ways to use your gussets, and obviously incorporate it into your papers or create them separately. So there's just lots of different ways to do it. So what we're going to do now is, I've got envelopes, I've got the pockets done, and I've shown you how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a little bit of decorating on a gusseted envelope. And then they would go in my stash and they're ready to go when I need a gusseted pocket. And I think to use your scraps up and, you know, your other little bits, because that's what we keep all these little bits for. So any cut off bits of card stock or, you know, your thicker GSM papers are perfect for gusseted. You can round the corners as well. I mean, I probably can't round that one, but you could round the corners. You could do whatever you wanted to, really. You know, and as I say, you could stick it in your stash and they'd be ready to go. They'd be perfect. So I think all that's left to do now is just decorate it up, and I can show you what we can do with it. So I've just picked this, the 4 expandable, well, the 3 expandable pockets, just because, you know, I've got an idea of what to do. So just want to cover the front And I'm not going to be too precious about it. I'm not going to even cut. I'm just going to tear up the side there. And then I'm going to tear down the side of here. Just make sure I've got the right width there. And it's straight. Straight-ish. Okay. I need to round those corners, aren't I? That's the top bit. So I'm going to glue that on, but I need to ink it first. And then I'm just going to use Collab, so I've got wiggle room. Okay. So I'm just going to pop that on to there on the front. Nicely secured down. Okay. And then I want to create probably another pocket on the front. Let's just have a look. I've made this little one, haven't I? I could always cut that down. That'd look quite nice. So I think what I might do is cut that down to about there. Yes. And I'm just going to re-glue that end up because I want to use that. And then I'll get that glued on. Okay. Just glue that end up. Probably need to ink it as well, don't I? This is the trouble with the inking. When you're not prepared. Sorry, I'm trying to make the videos not so long because there's so many people taking part that it's, you know, difficult to get through everybody. I only need to do the front. So I'm just going to glue that down. Here. And I'll do it as a pocket, I think. So I've got a double pocket there now. So I'm just going to sort of get it in the middle. Right there. And then we need to cover that as well, don't we? So I think we can cover that in. And the trouble is its direction is not big enough. So we'll cover it in the same again. So I'm just going to cover this in the same again. I'm just going to rip it. I'm not going to be overly fussed about that. And then I just want to get that to the top there. So I'm just doing that bit out shape. Yeah, I am. I'm going to have to cut that now. Just bear with me a second. Just trying not to cut, but I haven't done that in line. So that's better. That's a bit better. Just going to round those corners again for the top of that pocket. Ink it and glue that down. I'm loving torn edges at the minute. I've been making quite a few things with torn pieces and I quite like it. Yeah, let's just get that down. So I'm just going to glue this on. just going to make sure. So we've got a pocket at the back and we've got a little pocket on the front here as well. Just got to be careful because it's not quite stuck down, it's not quite dry. Then I think what we need to do is perhaps get some sort of closure going on. Let's have a look here. What can we do with that? Piece that I scored. Yeah, that'd be quite nice. Stuck down there. I want to edge that though. So I'm just going to make that into like a tag shape on either side. I'm using the big one because I want the definition of it. Like so. So I just need to ink that front bit. I don't mind that I've got a crease down the middle. You could cover this or you could leave it as is. Just for quickness, I'll probably just leave it as it is. And then I'm just going to get this glued on here. So what I've done is I've just done a 1/4 inch. So I've measured at the back here. And then I've done a 1/4 inch score line. And that's not quite in the middle. That's about right. So I'm just going to make sure that that goes down. That glue. Okay. So I've just got a 1/4 inch score line on that part there. So all I've done is I've got a piece of paper. I've marked it at the back about where I want it to come down to, and then I've done a 1/4 inch mark there for that to allow this to expand, which is what you want. Obviously you don't want to put a full closure on it, you know, a flat one like that, otherwise it can't expand anywhere. And then I would just stick that down, I think, with a Velcro dot. I don't think you need to do much else to it now. I've made this out of too thin a card, but I just wanted to give you some idea of how to use it. And then I would put that down with a Velcro dot. I'd also put an eyelet in it, in here. As I say, you could cover that if you wanted to, or you could leave it. Just any will do. I followed that line for the middle, haven't I? And it's not even in the middle. And then you could add string or ribbon or whatever it is that you wanted into there, so that you would have a pocket here, a pocket at the back. So you'd have 3 there. So you've got 5 pockets there, quite wide. These ones are a bit flatter. This one's a bit flatter because obviously it's got no gusset in, and that's exactly what I mean. Other thing that you could do is stick tabs on. I've got some tabs here. I'll just use this because it's out. So if that's your closure, we could put a tab on the front one. Here. Then you could put another one on this side. Just make sure though that you've got it over enough to allow your closure to go in. Okay. So that's your second pocket. So you've got your first pocket, your second pocket. Yes. And you've got another one. Which you could stick the other side on here. Just make sure that that's going to be wide enough to allow you to go through. Which that is if I do it there. You don't need anyone on the back because that's the part that'll be glued in to your journal somewhere. And then you could stick, I've done 4, so I may as well put them on, and then what you could do is on this one, you could stick that one under there. So that you can see that that's a pocket as well. It's because I'm using the Collab, it won't dry. Let me put it away so that I don't keep using it. Okay, so you've got 2 pockets there, one there and one at the back. And you've just done it again. Okay, that's allowing that to expand. There. And then you can put some thread or some ribbon or something through there. You could put a cluster on here with, you know, with some words. And this is the sort of thing that I did it for initially. I made like a travel sort of folio. So I have an envelope in the front here. I've got a couple of signatures in there which are actually sewn in. And then I got this bit here. This one's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets in. And that was made out of the cover itself. So there's lots of ways to use it and do things with and alter it and all of that sort of thing. I mean, this is obviously a complete smaller version to that. But that's how I did it initially. And I love it. I think it's fabulous. And this was actually a project that I followed a tutorial with from Le Cafe Crafts, Patricia. She's absolutely amazing. And I love the way it came out. So that's what actually gave me the idea for this today. Obviously, we've made it a lot smaller and we've made it as a standalone piece. So it will actually fit inside the cover of a journal, either like that or on the front, you know, front inside cover, I mean. It would also go into a page just about. You could always put it that way. So there's lots of ways to use them and you can make them any size you want to. So hopefully that was of some use to you. I'm sure there's lots of others that are going to cover gussets in the letter G for the ABC. So do go across and support those guys as well and see what their take is on it. We all have different ways of working and different things work for us to other people. So it is always worth going to check them out. Go and support them because there's so many of them that are taking their time to bring you this beginner sort of series for everyone. And yeah, we're all having lots and lots of fun whilst we're making and creating. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow.